What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing a video on what lures to use during the summer to fall transition. I've been getting a lot of people who are needing some advice on lures to use. Now there are so many different techniques that you can use. You can use jigs, you can use Texas rigs. I mean, those bottom baits, they work year round. They're always a great go-to. Don't be afraid to use them. Craws, creature baits, lizards, etc. They work excellent. Drop shot, all that good stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different techniques that work. But these are just my personal preference on techniques to use during the summer to fall transition that works best for me. I want to say thank you to you guys who are subscribing to the channel. You guys are helping me grow so quickly and I greatly appreciate it. If you guys are not yet subscribed, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I will greatly appreciate it. So let's get started. So the very first technique is topwater. Early in the morning, you know, sun starts coming up, you see right above the mountains just that little bit sliver of light. Those fish start coming up and they start chasing the bait, and that is always exciting. Sometimes they're chasing the bait up top, sometimes they're chasing them underneath the water, but ultimately they're pushing them up against ledges and points and things like that. And so a great technique to use is a popper. This specific one is a Strike King popper. You can use Ricos. Ricos are by far the best, but they're very expensive. They're like $18 to $22 just for one popper. But they move a lot better, they splash better, they just have a better shake when it comes to it. To me, the rattle is a little bit higher pitch and it just sounds more like a smaller bait fish just trying to get away. But these ones are excellent. This specific one, I believe, was about $5.99 at Bass Pro. Still a really good popper. You can use, I think Zoom has a couple. You can use Strike King. Strike King's always a great go-to. I mean, Strike King makes amazing lures. So definitely give this a shot. Just when you cast it out, you want to use mono. Mono floats, and it also gives a little bit of stretch. So when a fish comes up and hits this, you're going to have that stretch so that the fish can take it down, but you're also going to still have your line on top of the water so that the fish, they don't see line sinking or anything like that. As if you were using fluoro sinks, you don't want to use that. So for a popper, I recommend 8 to 10 pound test. Perfect. Just, you can either pop it real slow, give it a pop, let it sit, let the circle disturbance dissipate, and then pop it again. Or you could just be erratic with it and have it create like a little walking motion and just pop, and you'll get bit like that too. Just because of the noise and the disturbance from the rattling, the blooping, everything like that. The fish, they can't resist it. They come up, they slam it. It's awesome. Now, another technique that I love to use, especially when those fish are schooling up underneath big bait schools and they're just crushing them, is the underspin. This is a traditional Roadrunner, very good underspin. Blade works excellent, sharp hook, everything like that. Really good color for clean water. And if you're going to be using murky, use chartreuse, white. You could use black and blue, something that adds a little more contrast in the water so that the fish can see the outline and the profile of the lure. And then obviously this creates the flash and creates a little bit of water disturbance to allow the fish to be able to sense that. They sense it on their lateral line. And with this, I recommend 12-pound fluorocarbon, and just cast that out whenever you see bait, or if you see bait on your depth finder, or if you're just fishing points, cast it out on each side of the point, and the fish should be sitting on the drop-offs. Let it swing below the bait, reel it in steady, you should get a bite. If not, cast on the edges of the bait and the fish should be sitting right on those edges as well, and you should be able to get a couple bites like that. Underspins are an excellent technique. The bass, they come, all that bait schooling, easy technique to catch these fish. Very good. Check out the Roadrunner underspin. Another one for that same style of technique, but works really well, because during the spring, all those shad, they're a bit smaller, but when they finally grow and you get into that summer fall transition, all that shad's about 2 to 3 inches. So you use that 10,000 fish death stalker right here. This little blade in the back, when you're reeling it in, it looks like the tail of the fish, but it's also creating a flash and a little bit of vibration, which is creating that water disturbance again. And it also, the profile of it, you have little ridges right there to create a vibration, just like a micro lipless crankbait. So you have multiple reasons as to why a fish would want to eat this. I mean, you got the flash, you got the vibration, and you also get the flash from the actual profile of the bait itself. With the silver or a blue or a gold, you just see that flash in the water. So overall, this is an excellent technique, especially, let me get that straight for you guys. I'm struggling with this one right here. This is an excellent lure for any sort of moving topwater action, anything like that. I mean, you see fish moving around, cast that, you're gonna get bit. I mean, if you guys want to check it out, a couple of my videos ago, I was at Bartlett Lake. I started crushing them on this. I caught a fish on a drop shot, I caught a fish on a square bill, and then I missed a couple fish on that dead stalker, but I also got a couple fish on that dead stalker. And they weren't even really chasing bait or anything, they were just there. So excellent lure. Check that out. That's on shopcarls.com. You guys can check that out below as well. That'll be linked. The next one is obviously crankbaits. They're excellent. During the fall, you got the square bill crankbait. I like the traditional sexy shad or with the black back and just a silver to white body. Works really good. You got that heavy erratic movement and that rattling when this is going through the water, and you just hear that rattling, and I mean the fish, they can't resist it because that lateral line, they feel this lure coming right by them, shaking like crazy. They sense that, and it just turns into a reaction strike. They have no choice but to hit it. I mean, they love it. They'll turn, and sometimes the hits on these are freaking nasty. They're crazy. I mean, you'll just be reeling it in real steady off a point, off a drop off, ledges, anything like that, and you're just reeling, and just boom, it's crazy. It is very exciting. So definitely check out square bill crankbait. You will not regret it. I'm telling you guys, you won't. Very exciting. And I like to fish this on 12-pound fluorocarbon as well. I typically like to use for most baits anywhere from 10 to 15-pound fluorocarbon. Obviously, if I'm gonna do poppers and buzz baits and stuff, for a popper, 8 to 10-pound mono, and then for buzz bait, I'd say about 10-pound mono. Also, if you're gonna be using a frog or anything like that, just real fast, I would recommend braid, because usually if you're using a frog, you're fishing around some heavy cover, and those fish, they're gonna drag you in there and they could break you off, but that braid will prevent that from happening. Last bait, very finessey. If those fish are struggling, I'm not talking about a drop shot, I'm not talking about Texas rig, nothing like that, but this, just a weighted wacky rig. This is a robo worm. This is a morning dawn color. Works great in clear water. It works great in murky water because that purple silhouette really shows up in the water column really well. And this is an 1/8 ounce weighted jig head, and you just barely hook it on, and as you're popping it, it's literally just popping up and fluttering just like this. Very good technique. You could pop it right along the bottom, and those fish see it and they just think that it's like a little injured bait fish, and they'll just grab it. A lot of times the bites feel weird, your line will just kind of go tight, or you'll feel a little tap. Set the hook, you're on. For this, I like to use 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon with a 6 to 8 pound fluorocarbon leader, depending on what you're fishing and how you're fishing. So pretty much, I'll just go over these lures just real fast again, just so you guys can get a second look at it. Obviously, we got the Topwater popper, 8 to 10 pound mono, because mono floats and it also has a little bit of stretch. Next, you got the Underspin for when those bass are pushing those shad up close. Perfect shad imitation right there. 12 pound fluorocarbon. You got the crankbait right there, square bill crankbait, 12 pound fluorocarbon, just right along rock ledges, drop off, stuff like that. When those fish are pushing the shad up really close and just slamming them, I mean, great technique. You got the dead stalker for same instant, but also a smaller profile, and you get the flash, you get the vibration, you get everything with this. Anything will eat this also. I mean, you'll catch crappies, you'll catch bass. If you're in a lake with white bass and stripers, they'll eat that too. And then you got the little robo worm. Also, if you have a robo worm that has a little curly tail, that works excellent too, because that little curly tail, you don't really think it does much, but with that little tiny curly tail, it creates like a kind of like a very light vibration in the water, and that can attract the fish as well. This is just a morning dawn color. You could use green pumpkin. You can use a normal Senko with this. I mean, there's so many different worms you can use with this. Very, very good technique. Bounce it along the bottom with 8 to 10 pound test. You could use a 6 pound fluorocarbon leader so that those fish don't see it as well, and you could get extra bites. Sometimes you'll catch smaller fish, but hey, a fish is a fish, you know, and when fishing is rough, doesn't matter if you're catching big dinks, whatever, they're all good, they're all fish, you know. So I hope this was a good little overall, and I hope it helped you guys quite a bit. I want to say thank you guys so very much. You guys are awesome. You guys are helping my channel grow so much. I say this every single video in the beginning and the outro, but I greatly appreciate you guys so very much. I don't know how well you guys can see me. I know it's in the evening. I just got off work and sun's going down, so I'm hoping that you guys can see me pretty darn well. Thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate you guys. Make sure, if you guys are not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps my content and it helps YouTube's algorithm really show my channel off more to everybody else. And also, it shows 62% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you guys are enjoying the content, just make sure to click that subscribe button. Thank you guys very much. I've done enough talking. As always, we'll see you guys next time on Southwest Fishing.